We shall move on to the fourth topic first, which will be shared by Dr. Phua, as Dr. Phua will need to rush for an urgent meeting after this. Okay. So just to share a little bit, I still remember the day when I was actually called by the graduate school office by my own university when I was doing my PhD on the date to inform me about the date of my Viva was saying. And in fact, actually, that was actually a very, very big day that I was eagerly waiting for. And I'm sure that it is also the finale that all postgraduate students are eagerly waiting for, but extremely nervous about and full of butterflies in their stomach. Okay, and definitely some of your seniors and maybe your peers would actually share some horror stories with you. What happened inside the black box room, where we call it a black box room. Actually, it's the Viva room. It's just a normal common room, actually. Okay, so now, no worries. We have Associate Professor Dr. Phua Chin Hong today here to share with us the strategies to defend a thesis during Viva. So now, Dr. Phua, my questions to you. What are the strategies and tips to defend a thesis? And second is, how should a candidate respond when the examiner asks a very challenging or unfamiliar question? Over to you, Dr. Phua.
Okay, thank you. Okay, good morning. Can you hear me? Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you, UCSI University, for inviting me as one of the speakers for today's session. Thank you to the moderator, Assistant Professor Dr. Leong, Madam Movinda, the COO of UCSI University Sarawak campus, and of course, thank you, Dr. Hiram. Okay, my topic is about the strategic and the tips of this preparation for the Viva. I wish to highlight about the common issue, or we say the common problem for this candidate during the Viva. Number one is nervous. Of course, all the candidates, they will be nervous. So what are the reason nervous? Probably because they didn't do the preparation well. You need to well prepare for your Viva. So do more presentation with your friends, with your classmate, with your supervisor. Seek for this feedback, opinion, or this how to improve on your presentation. Number two, too many slides. Okay, some of the candidates they just try to put everything in a word, in sentence, and read on it without this how to say much explanation during the Viva. This is what most of the examiner they dislike. Okay, you are given normally about 30 minutes for presentation. If you put in 70, 80 pages of slide, no way you can finish your slide. So at the end, what will happen? You might spend more than 15 minutes in your chapter one. Then, the examiner will ask you, skip, rush, next, what's your method, what's your result? So again, the student might panic. Okay, try to use reasonable this amount of this presentation slide. Remember, if you cannot tell your thesis well, or you cannot tell the difficult concept in your thesis well to the examiner, that means you don't understand your thesis well. Okay, that will link to number three, unable to explain clearly. Not able to explain clearly and concisely when answering question. When the examiner asks question, the student, sometimes they just hang. They cannot explain clearly. So if this happens, the examiner might ask you even more question in order for you to, clarify your research. Number four, can't respond to examiner's question. Unable to explain, unable to answer. So what happens? Sometimes the candidate will just, look at their thesis, try to find an answer from the thesis. They bring their hard copy, they try to find an answer. Or they go over again the slide to look for the answer because they prepare a long slide. or to some extent, they just look at their supervisor, seek for help from the supervisor. Remember, your supervisor cannot say anything during this Viva examination. They cannot give you any word. Or to some extent, in my past experience, some of the candidates, they just demand silence for very long moment, few minutes. This is not good. Okay, this is one of the common issue or problem. The other issue, number 5, tend to disagree. Some students, they keep argue with examiner for whatever comment given by the examiner. Remember, you can explain, you can justify, you can defend, no issue. But with a proper way, polite way, and not just keep argue. Okay, next slide, please. Okay, what are the good attributes? Number 1, get to know your thesis well. Okay, what is your main research issue, your theoretical framework, your empirical framework, the method you use, the finding, policy implication. Make sure before you enter the this Viva room, you have all this with you. Very without looking on your thesis, without looking on your slide, you know how to explain. Number 2, organize your talking point. Okay, know well what you should say from one key point to another point. So that will make your presentation goes smoothly. Then third, think about the potential question. We say spot question. So for example, the common question that the examiner might ask you, why have you selected this topic? Why this topic? What is the research gap? I didn't see your research gap. Can you tell me what is your research gap? What is your research issue? What is your main contribution? This is a PhD or this is a master, this is a thesis. I didn't see your contribution. If the examiner challenge you like this, how are you going to respond? Why you use this method, but not other methods? There's so many relevant methods. Why this method? Can you tell me 3 advantages for this method compared to the other one? Why this Viva? For example, you are doing this macroeconomic study, you use M1. Why not M2? Why not M3? Okay. Why this sample size? Okay. Why you use this formula for this sample size? Even though theoretically, based on a certain this statistical formula, the sample size is like this, but empirically, is that this sample size sound and valid? Why this sample period? Why not other sample period? When you're doing time series study, you have a different sample period, the result might be different. So how are you going to justify? Or why this country, why this firm, why this industry? So you need to stand by the answer for this kind of potential question. Okay, again, do more practice. Do more practice. Do more Viva, this presentation with your supervisor or your friends. We say practice make perfect. You will gain confidence when you practice more. Okay, then here the other good attributes is become and confident. Remember, if for a PhD thesis you have spent about 3 years or more for your this thesis, okay, so you need to be confident in your knowledge. Confident. If you don't have confidence in your knowledge, nobody can help you during the Viva examination. Next slide, thank you. Okay, how to respond? How do we respond to examiner's comment? Of course, number one will be well prepared. Know your thesis well. That related to the point I mentioned just now. Okay, so the most common way that we prepare our student is ask them to prepare some short notes. Short notes. Then you summarize all the important points from each chapters. If professional, you summarize all the important points, then you try to think about what are the potential questions that the examiner will ask. That will related to the second point that I want to highlight here. Understand the limitation of your study. Okay, experienced examiner, they don't ask something that you have done. They will ask you something that you belum buat, you haven't done. You know why you didn't do this, why you didn't do that. You said you list out 3 specific objective, 5 specific objective. How about others? You need to justify. Of course, we say we cannot cover everything under the sun, but you must tell why you didn't do something. Okay, what is the limitation? It can be an internal limitation in terms of data, in terms of a sample, in terms of method, but don't tell the examiner limitation because you don't have time, because you have family, because your job. That is a personal limitation. Limitation is a limitation in the thesis itself, in the academic work. Okay, understand the limitation of the study, stand by answer. Okay, to defend for it. Okay, then be open-minded, always stay humble and accept the comments positively. uh, okay, this doesn't mean the candidate must accept all the comment uh, given by the examiner. You cannot be too humble during the viva. If you are too humble, so many these comment given to you, you just accept. That means at the end it might turn out a very major correction. You need to have your own stand. Okay, for some of the I mean question or this feedback given by the examiner, you think uh, you have something you want to say, or it's not something in your thesis beyond the scope. You must defend. You must how to say defense in a polite way, in a proper way. Try to tell, try to explain to the examiner. Okay, that is an important point. Okay, but I always notice some of the students, the way they defend is not defend, is what I call the argue. They tend to argue with this examiner. Okay, remember sometimes it depends on the examiners. The more you argue, the more question you get. Then it will affect your thesis examination status at the end, which I'm going to say in the next slide. Then the other point is listen carefully to examiner's comment. Please, you must respond based on what you have done. Okay, respond to the question. Don't divert to other question, or don't respond to the question by using citation based on who and who, in the literature review. What the examiner want to listen is based on your study. Okay, you get this empirical result. Okay, how you justify your result, how you relate the result to the real scenario, to the real economics, or to the real industry, how you integrate the theory that you propose, theoretical framework, with your empirical study. At the end come out these are useful policy implication. This is what the examiner they want to listen from you. Don't give them according to who and who, according to who and who. It should be according to you. Your finding. Okay. Okay. Next. Thank you. Next slide. Thank you. Okay. This is the thesis assessment and the status. I mean, for this most of the university, I think they have their own this system or this declaration. But most of them, I believe they have these five status. Number one, the thesis to be accepted as submitted. No correction needed. This is very rare and seldom happens. Almost perfect thesis. Okay, number two, B, C, and D is quite common, especially B and C. B status, the thesis to be accepted after minor correction. Okay, that means no major issue. C is a thesis to be resubmitted for examination after major correction. No viva. You no need to revive. D, major correction, the viva is compulsory. E, that means sayonara. The thesis is to be deserted. Okay, why I want to show this? Because based on my past experience as a chairman for the thesis, this viva session, or as the supervisor or as the examiner, either internal or external. Okay, there are many cases. Okay, student, the three examiners sometimes they give this status B, the thesis to be accepted after minor correction. But during viva presentation, the student just can't defend well. So it might change the decision from B to C, from minor to major. The worst case is from C to D. It happens. Okay. And there are cases the student gets C in the report but becomes a B because they know how to defend very, very well during this Viva examination. So your final this grading of final status almost there already. After the examiner they read a thesis, they have I would say they have a decision either B, C, or D. But your this presentation, your defense is very, very important. If you can tell your thesis, as I said just now, tell a difficult thing in a simple way, can defend your idea, your research issue, your objective of study, can tell what is a contribution to significant study, can highlight this contribution of your study, policy implication. Well, I think it should be fine. It should be fine. Okay, I think that's all from my side. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Dr. Phua, for the insightful tips on how to respond to tough questions from the examiners. So now, as what Dr. Phua has actually mentioned just now, you have spent like 3 years or more in your study. So definitely you need to be confident in your knowledge, and also you have to know your thesis very, very well, right? And during a Viva defense, organize your talking points so that your presentation goes smoothly. Think about all the potential questions from every angle that you might actually receive, and you can actually speak to your supervisors, speak to all your peers and your friends who have actually gone through their Viva, so that they can actually share with you what are the questions being asked inside that particular black box room. Okay, then you need to practice, practice, and practice. Keep on practicing until it becomes perfect. And last but not least, the advice given by Dr. Phua is do not argue in an aggressive way, but you need to defend and explain in a polite manner. All right, now we shall move on to our next speaker, Associate Professor Dr. Rosmini Omar, who will be sharing on oral presentation preparation. Okay, to Dr. Rosmini. During a Viva Voce examination, students are actually being tested in multiple aspects, right? Such as the student's subject matter knowledge, their ability to explain and discuss issues, as well as their ability to present their thesis or their years of work within just a short 20 minutes time frame. So Dr. Rosmini, could you please share with us what are the things a candidate should take note when having an oral presentation? And the second question is, are there specific areas that examiners will focus on where the presentation might actually affect the outcome? Over to you, Dr. Rosmini.
Thank you very much, Dr. Q Ling, and welcome everyone. I'm basically going to continue the progression of thoughts across all the speakers. Those points that they give superbly will help you a lot. I'm just adding some points, and some is like accentuating what have been said earlier by other speakers. Okay, now we're talking about what will you do in that black box room, right? Yeah, pretty much. I am going to share you because I'm going to treat you just like my sisters and brothers. All right, what I have experienced based from the angle of being examiners for several years, plus also my experience, all my wonderful, beautiful students. Okay, what you see in the slides here is the word robust, R-O-B-U-S-T. Your thesis, all right, your thesis, which at the moment you're doing, need to be robust. It needs to be strong, it needs to be valid, and it needs to be talking about authentical work, originality. And the same goes when you go into that black box room. Okay, you need to present yourself as a robust candidate. All right, and I'm going to go into the very basic one, which is R. R stands for respect. Just bear in mind again and again that the thesis has been read by examiners. We have read it, and we are busy people. Okay, like in July, I have to actually examine 4 theses. So you can imagine there's nothing personal that goes along each thesis. We are very happy to read it. We are very happy we're looking forward to the Viva, because we'd like to get to know who actually is the author of the thesis. All right. So respect is very important. Before the day, it's good to basically get to know. You can Google the examiners. Basically, you will know the internal, and basically you will get to know the external. Both internal and external are equally important, because the challenge can come from the internal. I've experienced this many times as an external examiner. So you got to pay equal attention to both of them. All right. Be respectful to them. Come early, okay, to the black box. Say hi if you meet them, but not overly too friendly. All right. Open your mind. Relax is very important. Just make sure that every thesis is not perfect. You are there to actually become the storyteller of your thesis. It's not pretty much of presenting the slides, but it's more about pitching, because you only have 20 minutes to pitch on what exactly the story that you have dealt with for 3 or 4 years. All right. Be brave, but not be too bold. Bold means too overconfident. I have an experience of being an examiner. You know, an examiner comes to the Viva for several reasons. Number one, we want clarification. I always have that in mind. When I read the thesis, there are things which I'm not clear. I'm going to put post-it note on the page, because I said I'm going to ask this the student on this one because I need clarification. That's number one. Number two, if you read the thesis and we see that the literature review is well written, but in some parts, especially chapter 5, I'm going to focus on chapter 5, the conclusion, we see that is not taken care well, when that is supposed to be the crispy part of your thesis that brings up the originality of your work. Then I would like to say, how authentic is the author? All right, and that's serious. And number 3, when I read the whole thesis from chapter 1 to chapter 5, is really good flow, good reading. I say to myself, I'm excited to have a conversation with this author of the thesis. So pretty much relax, because after all, it's just conversation. And Dr. Pua and everybody else is correct. Make sure you don't become too defensive. All right, be brave, but not too bold or overconfident. But do not be too afraid of talking. You lose your cool manner. Just be you, because when you're scared, you cannot speak up, and that's really a dangerous thing also for the candidate. All right. So work well with your supervisors. Always work with your supervisors. Do mocks. I always do that too with my student, twice, thrice, depending on the nature of the student. Utilize the presentation, meaning that for 20-minute presentation, get ready with about 20 to 30 slides. All right. Just go into the main gist of the thesis. I'll explain in the next slide. And then S stands for synchronize. Make sure that what you have written is the same exactly, but pitched up in terms of the slide. All right. Accentuate the originality of your work. And T, treat question by examiners as your opportunities, as I said earlier, to clarify, justify vague areas, because we are human beings. Next slide, Mr. William. So don't be afraid with the examiners. I'm going to share you some of the common questions that normally I would ask, and I'm sure that every examiners would normally deal with, particularly because when we read the thesis, we can't see this clearly, particularly in your chapter 1, focus on the problem statement. All right, so that's where I put the gaps and significance. Okay, one of the things that we will ask is that we would like to know where you are positioning your work within the mass area of knowledge, meaning that you must know your intellectual bins. I give an example. There was there were 2 times when I examined a thesis, and this student, this candidate is interested to look into Islamic leadership, Islamic spiritual leadership, and so on and so forth. But then he banged on the theory based on the Western theories of leadership, which you did not get right in terms of the epistemology. All right, so you got to know where the thesis is rooted from. And you will see that examiners are also human, all right, in the sense that some will explain, but some will keep questioning. I have a time when I enter the wire room, I can even become like a lawyer. We keep questioning because we want the student, the candidate, to get clear and close and be aware of the real answers. We are not actually taking down your confidence. We are there to help and support you for the next part, which is corrections. All right. We would like to know what's original about your work, and that is why I said a thesis is like a progression of work, particularly about research. All right. It's like a marathon. Don't pay attention to just chapter 4 or chapter 3. Give balanced attention to all, particularly, again, I said chapter 5. All right. Normally, students will lose their energy, the excitement upon reaching chapter 5, because they say, okay, I'm going to end soon. You know, I'm going to get over with this, and I'm just going to write down. I'm just going to look into the template thesis. I'm just going to change a little bit, and I'm going to submit. That's not what we expect as an examiner. We want to see that chapter 5, concluding chapters. We also sometimes in the beginning of our questioning would like to know, how do you get motivated with your research work? All right, you can begin the first slide with this one, and then you bank it with your background of the study or context of your study. All right. And the last point that I asked about, what normally we have this question, what do you gain by your approach? Approach means your methodology. All right, how different is your methodology in comparison to past study that look into those issues but using a different methodology? So if you bring newness, all right, a methodological contribution like what Dr. Hafiz shared with you, that is very good, all right, but you must bring in inside your thesis some fundamental reasoning and rationale, plus also what we call as precedent to what makes you come to that point, and you will accentuate that during your pitching. Next, Mr. William. All right, I'm going to continue with still specific areas examiners commonly focus. Context is very important. In your write-up thesis, you should have data and statistics, okay, showing hey, there's a dilemma, there's an issue. You can bring that again inside your your pitching slide during the Viva. All right. We will also sometimes ask question. Okay, you're not giving a lot of attention to this one, and then we'll say you make only passing reference to this related field. Why you don't go into going into this more? All right, and we need some cogent, real answers from you. All right. As I said earlier, when we talk about methodology, be clear in your write-up so that when it comes to the Viva, all right, we don't comment much. We will say, you know, everything is good. Let's move to the next chapter. The same goes with your analysis. All right. Can we have the next slide, Mr. William? All right. While waiting for the slides to appear, I would like to reiterate again, when you choose a new advanced methodology, bring in precedent. All right. Precedent means reference who has done that before, or who is close, or who is suggesting a new methodological area to be explored. Then you need to bring that up. Yeah, analysis and findings. You're very lucky because you're living in a very interesting era whereby you have a lot of ways to actually get sample templates and information, and you're very lucky because you have Emerald. Okay, Emerald has a lot of basically good notes for you to get informed in terms of how to actually accentuate the analysis and findings. And again, if you're doing this correct, we the examiners will say everything is in good way. All right, we're excited to go to the next chapter. Okay, I've said this because I've met these kind of student, and finally they're the one who actually end up having a minor revision. All right. We will go detail into analysis and findings when we could not find what we want to see. All right. So it's good to go into past thesis and learn from the chapters of analysis and findings. And then discussion. In what way does the thesis reach theoretical generalizability or at spectrum and depth of a theory? So that goes into qualitative or quantitative. For quantitative work, we would like to see how your study can be generalized and add to the universal knowledge of understanding in that particular area, because you add additional testing and hypothesis, okay, to existing work. And if you're doing qualitative, we would like to see how do you actually provide a new spectrum, a new case, all right, additional contextual understanding. So therefore you would lead to further work towards quantitative or mixed methodology. That should be in chapter 5. And in also chapter 5, we would like to see what are the research practice, theoretical implications of your findings. So work hard on your chapter 5. Talk about your limitation of the study. And one thing, as I said earlier in my first slide, and when we talk about the S, yeah, S means you specify some parts, and then when you're treating questions by examiners, is very important. Few days of a month before your Viva, you do different and various sitting with your supervisors and co-supervisors, going to the mock. When you do mock with your supervisors, what they will do is that they will pick up questions and support you. You know, they will basically help you to get into some pre-question that might be asked, because they are experienced people. So meet them and work with them. All right, can we have the next slide? Okay, I am bringing in a slide on how to impress examiners, but in a way that I'm going to tell you the don'ts thing. Don't do this. Not the do things, but the don't things. All right. Number one.
Dr.
Yeah.
Rosmini, sorry. Dr.
Yeah.
Rosmini, sorry to interrupt you. We are actually running out of time. Okay, so maybe can you like wrap up within by 1 minute?
Oh, sure. Okay, sure. All right. So
I'm
basically,
sorry.
yeah, that's okay. This is basically the last. That's why when I talk and I keep talking, this is actually the last slide. Things to avoid is do not be too over defensive and do not be too lame in answering. Okay, and then take criticism as a way to build up your expertise in pitching for future presentation. I wish you all the best. Okay, when we talk about Viva Voce, the end is there already. Still work for it. Thank you, Dr. Kuling, and sorry for the time.
It's all
Yeah.
right, Dr. Rosmini. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Okay, thank you, Dr. Rosmini, for sharing regarding the oral presentation preparation and also some tips on the important areas that candidates should really avoid. So now we shall remember Dr. Rosmini and we shall remember the word robust. Okay, keep in your mind robust and you will know what you should do during a Viva oral presentation. All right, now is the Q&A session. Okay, I have got several questions directed to the speakers of the day by our audience today. So reminder to all speakers, you are given roughly about like 2 minutes to answer each question directed to you. Now, the first question. The first question is to Dr. Hafiz. Okay, Dr. Hafiz, what if I just cannot control my nerves before the Viva Voce examination? My friend told me she was fine the night before examination, but she became extremely nervous outside the Viva Voce room on the day, and everything went blank in the mind. What's your advice to avoid such a traumatic experience because it might badly affect my presentation and defense? All right, Dr. Hafiz.
Okay, thank you for that question. I mean, I believe that that question is actually legit. I mean, many students who have problems when they during the Viva sessions. Again, I think let's be frank. I mean, even today I'm nervous because this is quite new for me. I mean, I'm meeting with new people, and even right now I cannot see the participants, but I can see few pictures, in videos of our say presenters. Yeah, I mean the way how I handle my nervousness is by getting to know who will I be meeting. I mean, this is where you actually should stop your panels, know how they looks like. Yep, get to know who is your chairman. Your chairman is actually is internal staff. So maybe you can have. I mean, the chairman is okay if you want to have a coffee with him. Get to know about him. Get to know who are these people, because we will definitely be able to talk fluently, and we are very relaxed when we know people who are we talking about. Yep, when we know who are the people we are going to face. So get to know them. I mean, don't worry, cool down. Again, I'm saying that the result of your thesis is actually have been deliberate by the panelists. Yep, before you enter the Viva for presentations. I mean, this is just actually merely a stage. Just present it. Assume that you are presenting to your friend. Just maybe if you are very frightened, ignore their faces. Just assume that you are presenting in front of your colleagues, in front of your students. You know, we talk a lot when we are in front of our students, and we are very relaxed. So just assume that they are your students. Just present your works, and just wait for their comments. I mean, the most important thing during your Viva session is not the presentations. It's all about it's all about the question raised by the panels. Are you able to answer that questions? So, I mean, relax. You are the masters of your thesis. You know what you are doing. cool. I mean, that's why I'm telling you, do not drink coffees before your viva. I mean, caffeine will definitely will not help you during your viva session. Relax. If you have problems, if you have, I mean, suddenly you have panic attack, just tell the panels, can I take 5 minutes off? I need to wash my face. I need to cool off. The panels are actually ex-students of PhDs. They understand what you are facing now. They will definitely allow you to take a break. Yeah, they understand that you are panic. I mean, tell them. You need to tell them. Do not start crying. Jangan menangis. I'm very particular on that. I mean, show that you are prepared. Show that you are prepared. Yeah. And again, I'm telling you, if you use all the tips given by Dr. Jason, Dr. Rosmimi, and I believe that you are ready for your viva. I strongly believe that you are ready for your viva. Again, relax, cool down, don't worry. Yeah.
All right, thank you to Dr. Hafiz. Yes, relax. And all the examiners are actually all human, just like any one of us, unless they are coming from the Mars or Pluto's. That's a different story. Okay, now the second question is directed to Dr. Jason. Dr. Jason, one of the questions from the audience is, can I still change something in my thesis and present it during my viva voce examination after submitting my thesis? Is it advisable to tell the examiners that I have revised a certain part of my thesis after submission, or should I hide or be honest? Over to you, Dr. Jason.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Leong. Good questions. My answer to this question is always yes and no. All right. So this is all depends on the standard of procedure for all the university. For example, like let's say in Utah, whatever you submit the first draft that you submitted, this draft itself will go to the examiners. And we do not expect you to change something drastic in the write-up. So, when the examiner read your work, when they already came out with the report, but during the viva day itself, the things are different. So it will make them lost during a presentation. So therefore, this is why I say no to this kind of questions. So of course, we do agree that research is a process. It evolves according to time. All right. So the best one is right after your proposal defense, you can change, you can modify, you can improve, you can enhance it. Doesn't matter as long as your supervisor is okay with it. I mean, if let's say you got two supervisors are okay with it. So right, like I say, this is my presentation earlier. There is a part where enough is enough. When it comes to a certain stage, you have to tell yourself, okay, Cham, it's enough. Let's stop here. So whatever it is, we do it later. Okay, you want to get a Nobel Prize out of it, we do it later. All right. But for PhD, it's just the degree itself. All right. Okay, it doesn't mean that I've stopped you or I belittle your credibility, but what I want to share is if you have something within your control, inshallah, I would say you will control the situation very, very well. So like myself during the Viva, not something to boasting around, just my personal little humble experience. My Viva is only lasted me about 20 minutes. Basically, my presentation is 15 minutes, 5 minutes for Q&A. Because the moment before the panel asks me a question, I already know what they have in mind. All right, so the external report, no issue. The first usually will be internal, I would say, sorry. They are more, they have to do their job. So the first comment come from the internal is congratulations, Dr. Cham. And that's, we know already the outcome. So like Dr. Hafiz and Dr. Rosmini and Dr. Puas say, preparations is the key of everything. All right, and remember my name start with J, right? Justification. Yes, as long as you can justify, I guarantee you, no one, ladies and gentlemen, can shake you. That's my humble thoughts from me, Dr. Leong. Thank you so much. Over to you.
All right, thank you, Dr. Jason. So you, ladies and gentlemen, you can enhance, you can improve, but remember that if you keep on changing until the day of your Viva will say out of sudden your theoretical framework, everything has been changed thoroughly, then that will be another story again. So please bear in mind that yes, you can enhance and you can actually improve, but you need to remember the J word as long as you can justify. All right, so thank you very much to all those questions. Yeah, there are a lot of questions questions actually that we are receiving. But due to time limitation, so we shall take on the final question to be answered by Dr. Rosmini. So Dr. Rose, is it possible that my oral presentation and thesis defense change the marks given to my written thesis? I know Dr. Phua has said something about it, but could you elaborate what are the areas the examiners will look at which might potentially affect the marks? Over to you, Dr. Rose.
Thank you very much, Dr. Q, for the question. I'll be sharing something more secret within the black box. Yes, and as what Dr. J said just now, yes and no. There are situations whereby, in my case, when I look into the thesis and then whatever I have decided, it's stick on that. But there are situations whereby examiners tend to change either to a much better grades or to a much lower grade. Because one thing is that examiners, the internal and the externals, sometimes you have one internal and two externals and vice versa. They read your thesis at a separate place and then they will convene. When they convene, before you present, there'll be about 5 minutes of the chairman meeting and asking, are there any issues? And then we will see what are the results. If one gives, for instance, B1 minor, the other one goes for major, what normally will happen is that experienced examiners will say, we'll see the presentation first and then we'll convene after that. Now, that is why viva voce pitching, as I said, is so important, even though it's towards the end, because what you present, how you justify, Dr. J, and how you actually maintain that robustness, I said, will basically somehow buy the attention of the examiners that put you at the lower end, and then when the verdict is about to come, the lower one will say, okay, now I can see basically the candidate can answer all the questions. We'll move up to B1, or it can be the other way around. So all in all, it can happen. So do your best. I hope that answers the question.
All right, thank you very much, Dr. Rosmini, for the answer to this particular question. So now, I would like to invite Mr. Low, William Low, Business Manager from Emerald Publishing East Asia, to share with all of you with regards to the Emerald online resources. Over to you, Mr. William.
Thank you, Dr. Leong. Every of the webinar when we have Dr. Jason Chow, we all learn something. Today we learn about Dr. J. Right, a quick one on Emerald and the resources Emerald actually offered to the postgraduate students and during the Viva, basically on the literature review. What motivates you? I'm going to do some quotes from the speakers today. From Dr. Phua, he actually mentioned what is the research gap in his problem statement. From Dr. Hafiz, he was saying, what is the contribution to the society in your Viva, in your thesis writings? And Dr. Jason, he was actually saying that I know your research problem. And Dr. Ross has repeatedly mentioned about the problem statements, to have the balance to all the chapters and how to get motivated at the chapter 1. So these are all, we all aligned, or we all know that what motivates, why the problem statements actually stands very important. And with that, I just want to bring it to the Emerald context and how we actually support our researchers, our authors, by using our real impact directions of it. So this is, we are committed to support the meaningful and real world impact with the research that you have delivered. Same with Madam Movida. We in Emerald, we also support the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals, so UN SDGs. In fact, our objective is actually to link your research objective to the national policy and the international goals. So this will actually help to increase the weight of your research output, and also provides a clear motivations of what your research is all about, right? I'll go next to here. So some things to actually help the authors and also the postgraduate students, right, on how do you connect your research to the real world issues. So in Emerald, we do have a resource called the expert briefings. We believe expert briefings will connect the dots. And how does it connect that? Expert briefing basically provides resources on the most urgent problem of today. So things that we have seen, example, the COVID-19, except for the pandemic, the US political issues, the inequality ratio issues over there, and also others issues that we see around the world. You will actually find that in the expert briefings. Not only that, expert briefings also helps the authors to actually relate to the research impact goals, and it also encourage the researchers and your thesis to apply that in the real world statement itself. I just wanted to share with you some example. So this is one of the example about COVID-19. If you are actually addressing the COVID-19 pandemic issues, let's say in the educations or even in the emerging economies itself. So we do under the Emerald expert briefing, we do have the infographics here, which shows up-to-date topics and discussing success in the East Asia countries itself. You can see that there are Hong Kong, Taiwan, South Korea, and Japan in terms of infographics. So what does this infographic actually provides is that it gives a very analytical view of what is the issues, or what in this manner will be the pandemic itself, and you can even cite this infographic and the analysis provided by the expert briefings in the articles, in your articles, to be correct. So some infographics are examples on the US foreign policies. What are the discussions and what are the implications under the US foreign policies that they should adopt, and what does it actually impact other countries, example, the Russia, North America, Germany, and so and so. A very, very one-page view infographic, but with analysis. So one last thing to actually share with you, what we call the expert briefing is all about is it does actually have the introductions of the incidents. In this example will be the Hong Kong security law. Last year's or earlier this year's, we know that Hong Kong have been protesting, which make a big fuss globally. So what is it all about? Introductions. What is the significance of the incident itself, and what are the analysis? Analysis are actually coming from the professors of the day, from the policymaker of the day, and has been used by the government of the day as well. Example, Malaysia governments are also using the expert briefings for immediate or informed decision making. Backgrounds, view discussions, and conclusions. So this is something examples that I wanted to share with the audience today, is that in Emerald, we do support our authors and also the postgraduate students on how to actually write better in terms of the chapter 1, in terms of problem statements. How do you connect your research with the current issue of the day? All right, please do explore more. With that, I will back to you, Dr. Leong.
All right, thank you, William. Thank you for the introductory in terms of the online resources provided by Emerald Publishing. So now we are almost coming to the end of this particular session. Before we end the session, I would like to invite our guest speaker, Yang Berbahagia, Dato' Associate Professor Dr. Haji Abdul Kadir bin Haji Roslin, Rector, UITM Sabah Branch, to provide his concluding remark for today's seminar. Over to you, Dato'.
Thank you. I hope you can all hear me and see me clearly. It's a bit dark over here. Thank you. You guys have been working very hard. Assalamu alaikum, and very good morning to all of you. First of all, syukur alhamdulillah, that this webinar has been run smoothly, and we are now towards the end of the session. So I think I have two duties here. I'm not a guest speaker. I'm just here to offer you some words. So I would like to thank you a few people. I think especially to Madam. Hopefully I can get this correctly. Madam Mukvinda Kaur Sando, the COO of the Sarawak campus, UCSI, for inviting us to become one of the co-organizers for this seminar. Thank you. My gratitude also goes to the SRC, Sarawak Research Society, RCE Kuching, and of course, our big brother, Emerald Publishing. I appreciate the effort of collaborating, and I hope there are more opportunities in the future to do this, to work together, to collaborate. I think this is a very important session that we have. To all the distinguished speakers, my learned colleagues, Associate Professor Dr. Phua Chin Hing from UNIMAS, Associate Professor Dr. Jason Cham, or perhaps I heard just now Dr. J from Utah, and of course our very own Associate Professor Dr. Hafiz Hanafia. Can't see your face, but I think you are there. And of course, also to all the others who are involved directly or indirectly in this. We appreciate your taking your time to share this very useful skills and experience of yours, all the resources, tips to our postgraduate students. I was informed that the number is quite respectable. You guys are very famous. I think they are looking forward to have session with you, and I hope this will be the impetus, the motivation to go forward and have more session in the future. Ladies and gentlemen, the Center of Postgraduate Studies in UiTM Sabah. Of course, we are only a branch. We have 35 campuses all over the countries, all over the country. And of course, we are the smallest, but also the oldest actually. So it's a bit of irony there, the oldest but the smallest in the system. But in Sabah we offer both coursework programs as well as research program for our postgraduate programs. And currently, I think UiTM Sabah among the campuses which is offering a few programs, namely doctorate in business admin or DBA, and of course our age-proven MBA programs, and of course the latest one we have the EMAS, or otherwise Executive Masters in Administrative Science. Our postgraduate research program vary from business and management program, as well as plantation and agrotechnology, hotel and tourism management, administrative science and policy studies, and a few from the applied science faculties as well. And currently on coursework program alone, we have almost I think slightly more than 150 students in UiTM Sabah branch alone. Our postgraduate studies is committed in supporting our postgraduate student in their learning journey. Many programs have been organized, for instance, academic visit to universities in foreign location, namely in Indonesia, out of convenience, in Brunei as well, but also to the United Kingdom. And we have also been encouraging our students to attend conferences and innovation competition at international level. And as a result, we can see that our postgraduate students have won many awards and recognition in conferences and innovation competition. And I think this must continue. We are also proud that many of our students managed to finish their study on time. I think this is a big thing in all the university nowadays, talking about GOT and whatnot. And of course, few receive college and academic excellence award as well. UiTM Sabah branch see this UCSI Postgraduate Seminar as a great platform. And I think I've indicated that earlier on to Madam Mukbinda, yeah. Not only for our postgraduate student actually, but also to everyone who is interested, yeah, who may be planning, contemplating, and I think from what I have heard towards the end of the session, I think you guys have been very friendly, very encouraging, and I hope all the audience are motivated. There's nothing mysterious about doing your PhD. I think the key would be, I mean, you talk about this, everybody has talked about this, and I think perseverance, hard work is probably among those who are unavoidable. It is a must. Yeah, it's some of the must have character among our students. Yeah? So I would like to thank all participants as well, yeah, for joining this seminar. Of course, this is what is that? The positive side effect of post-COVID-19 or the pandemic. Yeah? So we are doing a lot of things differently, whatever you call it, new norms. Yeah. So, yeah, I don't like to. I don't want to probably take your time. Last but not least, I would like to congratulate everyone who are involved in this seminar, the successful conclusion of this seminar. And we look forward to more sessions with all of you in the future. Of course, it is definitely a fruitful collaboration, and we look forward to having more programs together in the future. So with that, I say thank you. Well done, everybody.
All right. Thank you, Dato' Abdul Qadir, for your concluding remark.
My pleasure.
Yes, absolutely. This is, I guess this is absolutely a new norm that everyone is adapting to post-COVID. Yeah. Okay. With this, it marks the end of this particular seminar. So on behalf of the organizing committee, Faculty of Hospitality and Tourism Management, UCSI University, a big thank you to all our collaboration partners, especially to UiTM Sabah branch, Emerald Publishing East Asia, Regional Center of Expertise Coaching, and Sarawak Research Society for your support. I would also like to take this opportunity to thank all the participants for your participation and donation to support RCE coaching initiatives on sustainable development goals. Now, before we say goodbye until we meet again, I would like to make some final housekeeping announcement to all of you again. All right, the first announcement is that the forum video, slides, and any relevant materials used during the seminar will be notified via email after the seminar in 3 days' time. And second is the e-certificate will be emailed to all participants who attend after the seminar in 3 days. And do please take note that the name printed on the certificate is actually based on your registration name. So with that, thank you and goodbye.